Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel, Little Aspire. And today we are going to see the topic, the Renaissance. The term Renaissance is taken from the French word, it means rebirth or revival of learning. The movement that extended between 14th century and the 17th century. That means the movement started in 14th century and it came to an end only in the 17th century. It started in Italy, it is a very important point, in the late Middle Ages, and it was spread in the remaining part of the Europe also. The revival of classical learning started in England with the rule of Tudors in the second half of the 15th century. The Renaissance culture and civilization had a great influence and impact on the English society on all the Europeans. The movement touched its peak in Queen Elizabeth's rule 1558 to 1605. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the Renaissance means to different people, how the different people have, have a thought on Renaissance, like the student of a history, the student of religion, the student of art and literature, the student of science. A student of history thought the Renaissance the beginning of new social conditions. The student of religion considered it the great reformation that will take place in English churches. The student of art and literature considered the opportunity to recover the hidden classical works in art and literature will be come out. The student of science believed that Renaissance gave him a chance to understand the origin of astronomy and the beginning of autonomy. But even though one of a great writer, Walter Pater, gives the definition for Renaissance, that is, a complex and at the same time many sided movement. It means it has given different inventions, different discoveries, and different arts and literature to the people started learning and they started asking questions after reading the books. All this was happened only because of the printing press which was started by William Caxton and John Gutenberg. In the next slide we are going to talk about the progress of Renaissance, which we can see many inventions and discoveries helped to success the Renaissance period. In 1454, John Gutenberg of Germany introduced the art of printing in Europe, but the printing is in Latin. So the first book printed in the printing is Latin Bible in 1455 in the place Massey in Germany. We can say that before printing press, there is no printed books were available in and around the world. So after the development of printing press, inventions of printing press, we can see many number of copies were available and people started learning it. Though the first book printed was the Bible, that too in Latin language. The invention of printing press created a new informations to the people. The books are readily available for the first time in 15th century, and this led the inventions, science revolutions, and scientific journals could be distributed to all the people, where they can learn that what all the inventions have been done by the scientist. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the scientific inventions. The printing press, which was started by John Gutenberg in Germany, the same printing press was started by William Caxton in London in 1456 at Westminster, and another in Oxford in 1478 and in London in 1418. After the printing press by Caxton, the English books were started printing in 1483. The printing press improved the accessibility of books to the new scholars to develop their knowledge and to the public peoples also. One more remarkable reason for the developing of Renaissance in England was the prevalence of harmony, peace, prosperity, and massive wealth during the rule of Queen Elizabeth and James I. So the Renaissance began in Chaucer's period And it came to end in Queen Elizabeth period, where we can see the lot of progress like harmony, peace, prosperity, and massive wealth has been developed in this period. One of the greatest writer in literature, the Shakespeare. Wherever the literature begins, the people started to talking about the Shakespeare in English, whereas in Tamil we can say Tiruvalluvar. Like in Tamil literature, Tiruvalluvar was a great person, whereas in English literature we can say Shakespeare is one of such person. Such person was born during the Queen Elizabeth period and he became very famous. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the importance of marine compass. Marine compass was one of the most significant inventions during that time. The early belief of the shape of the earth and its dimension was proved false because of improvement in astronomy and science. Then the inventions of telescope is also the another important one in the Renaissance period. Through the telescope we come to know that earth, the universe is in a round shape, that is in the structure of cosmos. The inventions of marine commerce facilitate the Europeans to find the new sea route to the eastern countries. They started voyage, they started traveling in the seas. So today we are going to talk about the many Americans. We want to go there, we want to settle there, we want to follow the ascent of the American people, how they talk English. So here that great place was discovered by Columbus. In 1492, Vasco da Gama started his voyage and arrived at Calicut through the Cape of Good Hope in 1498 through the sea routes. Then one of the great person, Magellan, started his Pacific Ocean investigation in 1519, in 16th century we can say. When he reached the Philippines after 2 years, he was killed on suspension by the Philippines people. That they thought that he is one of a suspected person for that people. In the middle of the 16th century, Copernicus of Holland discovered that sun is the center of universe. Later, Kepler and Galileo revealed the truth about the solar system. We can come to know the Renaissance inventions which we are talking today that was already done in Renaissance period, which was already written in our literature, which was already done by the common people. They have said that the universe is in a circle shape. But the people does not believe. If a scientific person have proved it, the people started believing it. In the same way, we can see that Copernicus of Holland discovered that sun is the center of universe. Sun is revolving. Then the sun revolves around 8 planets. And today we are reading about the solar system, which is very important to all the people. And we started learning that how it revolves, how much days it takes and everything. That is the greatest thing was happened in the Renaissance period. Then we talk about the Renaissance in Italy. In Italy, the great writers like Dante, Petrarch, Boccaccio, they have largely contributed for the Renaissance. The Greek language in Italy was taught by Greek scholars from Constantinople, where we come to know that Crux was defeated in 1453. In 1453, Greek scholars ran away from Italy because the capital lost to their enemies. Later, the despots came to the rule over Italy. Again, they started ruling Italy. They asked the Greek scholars to come back to their own country. The great Italian writer in the Renaissance period is Machiavelli. We can say that he is the father of modern philosophy, that is political philosophy, and father of political science. His famous work is The Prince. In The Prince, we can see that he talks about the blood of the king's son. And he talks about the man, the common man who becomes a king. Then what is the difference between the king's son and a common man become a king? King's son might know the rules and regulations and what to do. If a common man become a king, he wants to learn new things. So he was detailedly explained in his work, The Prince. Then another greatest writer in the Spain is Cravens, gave an amazing contribution to the world literature by his greatest novel, Don Quixote. If you have any time, please read it once, at least the summary part. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the Renaissance in England. The greatest writer in literature is Geoffrey Chaucer, which we all know. In further slides, we are going to talk about the Geoffrey Chaucer, which is going to be have in your next semester history of English literature. In that topic, the first writer we are going to see is Geoffrey Chaucer, his birthplace, his works, and everything. So here also we can say that the first England writer is Geoffrey Chaucer in the Renaissance period. Then we can say that this Renaissance period is the age of translation. The works of classical authors like Virgil, Ovid, Cicero, Timotheus, and Plutarch were translated the other works into English. The first part of Chapman's Homer was translated into English in 1598 by Virgil. This translation helped the writers like Shakespeare to have a thorough knowledge of classical mythologies, folklores, and legends. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the literary contributions in Renaissance. The writers, the contributors during the Renaissance period. We can say the greatest writer, Edmund Spenser. He has written a greatest epic, The Faerie Queene. He thought of writing it in 12 books like a John Milton's Paradise Lost, but he completed only the 7 books. We have 6 books with everything, every content in that. Whereas in 7th book we have only the part of it. Remaining part was missed and it was happened something. Then the another greatest tragedy writer, Christopher Marlowe. Then William Shakespeare, the greatest person in literature, dramatist, a poet. Then John Milton, Paradise Lost, we remember. Then Francis Bacon, father of essayist, English essayist, had a imprints of Renaissance culture and humanity. They all talks about the culture and humanity during that period. Their classical influence is evident in the works of university wits. This one is also the another important thing. University wits who had studied in Cambridge and Oxford were called as university wits. This is also we are going to talk in another slide in detail about the university wits. Particularly the greatest tragedies, which I have told you before, the Christopher Marlowe, and another greatest tragedy writer is Thomas Kidd. Then we have a Thomas More, who talks about the utopia. The place is nowhere. There is no place utopia. But he talks about the civilization, the humanity, how the people want to be, and how they have to work, for how many hours they want to work, and everything. So that's about utopia. Then another writer is Erasmus. He talks about the corruptions which is happening in the church. In his work, The Price of Folly, he talks about the corruptions of church during the Renaissance and Reformation period. Then John Colet set up St. Paul's Grammar School to promote the conventional and classical studies. So these writers have contributed their literary works in the Renaissance period. Then we are going to say about the art and architecture in Renaissance period. The famous 3 members, Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci. They have given a greatest contribution in Renaissance period. They were poets, painters, and sculptors. After this Renaissance period, we can say the art and literature only in the Free Raphaelite movement, where the D.G. Rossetti, Christiana Rossetti, they have followed this art and architecture. It means that through the picture they can able to write a poem. This was happened in Renaissance period, and again it was happened only in the free Raphaelite movement. The Michelangelo, a famous painter or a works, a statue of David and Moses, and the sculpture of Virgin Mary holding the dead body of Jesus Christ on her lap. This was the art done by Michelangelo. Then another person is Raphael. Raphael is best known for his mantos. Leonardo da Vinci was famous for Last Supper in architecture. There was a revival due to the Renaissance. St. Peter's Church in Rome was built in the new style. In England, Christopher Wren reconstructed St. Paul's Cathedral in London after the Great Fire in 1666. And this became the end of the Renaissance. In the Renaissance, we came to an end part. All the inventions, all the discoveries, all the literature contributes, all the art and architecture peoples have contributed many things for the Renaissance. Thank you all. Thank you for watching this video. Students, if you have any doubts regarding this topic, you can send me the mail to my mail ID, which is given here. You can note it down. And we are providing some notes for this subject. If you want to buy, contact through this mail ID at any time. Thank you.